Should we talk about the Oscars?
All right.
All right. So last night was the big Academy Awards. What number Academy Awards was it? I can't even keep track anymore.
I don't know.
Anybody
I
in
think
the
it's
chat?
more than 5.
More than 5? It's definitely more than 5. There's more than 5 Academies awarded. This, of course, is the big one where all of these big media companies spend thousands of dollars, millions of dollars in advertisements and newspapers. Hey, pick me, pick our movie. We want to get the Academy Award for Best Picture. Mm-hmm. Now, it's interesting that this year represents the year when the Academy Awards, the films that were selected for Best Picture, they were like fewest viewership of like any movies in history. Like people don't hardly even see these movies that have been selected for Best Picture. A number of years ago, they expanded the categories to be like 10 movies in the Best Picture categories to encapsulate some of the more popular ones that people would go to the theaters and see.
Yes.
None of the theatrical release movies really are in this category at all. Almost all of them were streaming this year.
Yes, it was. Okay, I just did a quick Google search. It was the 94th Annual Academy Awards.
And, so it was a pared down event. It was normally, they tried to trim it down. A lot of it was pre-recorded. They cut out like 8 categories, like hair and makeup. I don't even know who hosted the thing. I know Chris Rock was there. We'll get to that in a moment.
It was a
Schumer.
smorgasbord of hosts.
Okay, so there was no like Ellen hosting it.
It was
around.
several hosts. They did like a relay race, like a pass of the baton.
So it was like a real catch all. And so it was the ratings. I think we have the ratings chart for last night.
This according to Nielsen. So for the Academy Awards, you see it's the dark blue. The Grammys are in gold and the Emmys are the light blue. And you notice all awards shows are trending down because we care so much less. Do you think this is because celebrity is diluted between like TikTok stars and now marquee actors, and just some people don't care so much about seeing, I do still, about seeing Sandra Bullock. But, more people would care about their favorite TikTokers.
Well, I also wonder how much, I wonder how much this has to do less with like people not caring and the fact that it's not streamed online. It still goes to like one of the major networks. And so like the last time I turned on regular television was probably 10 years ago.
And that's the question, right? I saw a lot of people saying, hey, why not just stream it on Netflix?
Right.
Like, if Apple won for Best Picture last night, it was an Apple movie that won for Coda, which won Best Picture. So this is the first time, like here you have a computer company, like is now the company that has the Best Picture. Maybe Apple, like when it streams its events on Apple TV, one of their Apple events launching new Apple, iPhones and computers, put a little Oscar bug right there. Click on that. You can watch the Oscars streaming on Apple TV. Watch it on your Roku device. Watch it on your Google Play TV. Watch it on, to Philip's point, watch it on Netflix.
Yes.
You probably have a much higher rated than people, because people don't have cable.
Right. Well, Therese in our chat says it's because it's too woke. And yes, I think that's also a problem, is that no one wants to tune in to celebrities lecturing you on how to behave or, there
was all this talk about, like, there was Zelensky was going to have a Zoom meeting and pop in.
Right.
Like, hi, Hollywood. Just want to remind you we're at war and I'm Zelensky. You all love me. I'm your favorite actor. And I'm here in Hollywood, and I just want to thank you, all of you, for your support. You can go here to donate. Like we were wondering if that was going to happen. But
who was the actor last year that said that?
There was a moment of silence last night. Mila Kunis, I think she's Ukrainian. She did a moment of silence for Ukraine
and for Syria too.
No, Syria, no.
Ethiopia,
no.
What's Syria and Ethiopia?
Exactly.
I don't know what those are.
No, all we care about is Ukraine.
There was a movie about Syria recently that won an Oscar, wasn't there? I'm sorry, I don't know much about pop culture.
I don't know. You don't know much about pop culture.
I mean, I only know what's trending on the internet, and that Zendaya wore this super cute crop top with like a long sparkly. That's all I really know. I only pay attention to what I care about when it comes to that. Also, I went down a rabbit hole today about the slap the Will Smith slapping Chris Rock for making fun of his wife. I thought that was super interesting, and I just wanted to see like basically what people were saying about that on Twitter.
So here's my favorite, by the way. We'll get to the video in a second here, but this was the New York Post headline, Best Smackter.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. All right, so what happened here? Well, I'll just sort of play it. The backstory is, if you don't know, Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith's wife, has alopecia, which is...
it's an autoimmune disease, which sometimes can result in hair and skin
loss.
Yes.
Yes, and short hair, right? So
it doesn't really result in short hair. She wears her hair short on purpose because it results in hair loss.
Okay.
Yes.
But that's the reason. She's not choosing this. This is not for a role. Anyway, so here was the moment last night. Chris Rock, I didn't even know he was going to be there. He's up there doing jokes and making fun of people trying to do the Ricky Gervais play. And this was the moment.
So that was really interesting. So the things that I continue to Google, right? Like, this has nothing to do with me. This is someone else's business. I could care less about the Oscars. But I just wanted to know, like, is that allowed? You can hit people now and no one takes him out of the theater, right? Because he's a nominee and would go on later to win. And apparently a lot of the news was that during the commercial break, Denzel Washington and Bradley Cooper came over to like comfort him. Like, I'm so sorry you had that hard moment. You just hit somebody.
To comfort Will Smith.
To comfort Will Smith for having had to do that, I guess. It's such a perplexing thing because now everyone is trying to like pretend that you are on the side of whatever is the right thing, right? But the Academy Awards has a code of conduct, which they were all about signaling in 2017 in the wake of the Me Too movement. And they say it has to be a safe environment for everybody. We're tolerant of everybody. They did not create a safe environment when they let someone hit somebody else and then stay in the audience and come up and give a acceptance speech of the marquee award of the night.
Now, I had a moment where, like, okay, I'm watching this. I'm thinking, was this a put on? Is this all fake? You know, like, and then I'm like, well, no. First of all, it's live on ABC.
Yes.
Like, you're not swearing. I mean, first of all, it's broadcast television, so that would be a no-no right there.
Right. You can't say the F word.
So that struck me as, okay, I don't maybe believe that's going to happen. But what would be why would that be fake? Like, what would the benefit? I'm just looking at like what the benefit would be of that being fake. Like, this is not Borat moment.
Right.
Or Sacha Baron Cohen moment where he knocks the hilarious moment where he invites, like, I don't know, remember that? Where he invited like his high school teacher out who is now in a wheelchair. Uh-huh. And he like wheels her up and he, you know, she's flattered and he just wants to say thanks for being such an inspiration. And then like he wheels her kind of forward and she falls off the stage. And like, it was this whole thing where like, anyway, it was hilarious. I think it was, now maybe I'm wrong about that. Am I right about, or was that Jim Carrey? I don't know. I think it was Sacha Baron Cohen. Nevertheless, that was a funny moment. It was.
I don't think you'd have to rewind the tape very far to find Will Smith making fun of people's hair. You watch a little Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He did that a lot. He made fun of Uncle Phil for being chubby. He made fun of so, you know, jokes are on the table for Will Smith, who started as a comedian. And I don't think even discussing the merit of the joke at this point is worth doing, because it's just someone was allowed to get up, scream the F word, and physically assault someone else. You know, Janet Jackson was canceled for having someone else show her boob, right? She was not even the offender here, and she suffered many, many consequences, in my opinion, unmerited. But no,
Justin Timberlake went on to be fine.
Yes.
Like, he's the one that physically ripped part of her wardrobe off. He had a great career after that.
Right. Yeah. You know, I saw some people on Twitter saying, well, maybe he didn't know that Jada Pinkett Smith was suffering from this skin condition, which is, you know, again, fashion And the way you present at the Oscars is usually fair game. Maybe he didn't know, right? But at the same time, someone else solved a problem with violence in a time when the United States is trying so hard to say we're nonviolent, right? We're not against violence. But our Best Actor recipient just punched out someone. He then sort of spoke around it in his speech, like, well, you know, I'm kind of a Papa Bear and this is what I do for my family. And I'm supposed to just let people say it doesn't hurt my feelings, and it does. There are other ways to act out.
He said, I do, you know, you do crazy things for love. But also just think about, like, Hollywood loves to lecture the rest of us about peace, right? And forgiveness and kindness, right? And meanwhile, they make their money on the backs of massive war movies and all kinds of violence. And then they get up and lecture us about peace and anti-war, and we stand with Ukraine and all of these other things. And then your main Best Actor gets up and punches somebody in the face.
And you let him keep sitting there. And like, okay, that's fine. He's just going to keep sitting there, right? Like, I think this is a crazy example about how there's definitely rules for wealthy and famous people, and then there are rules for the rest of us.
Well, I mean, yeah, again, if this was anybody else, they'd be arrested, right? I mean, can you imagine just some random fan found the joke troublesome?
No, yeah, you're right. If someone else who had just like walked off stage came up and slapped Chris Rock, they absolutely would be carted out of the stadium. But because he had a ticket, an invitation, right? I don't know. I think that this is completely unacceptable. And it's interesting to watch that hashtag toxic masculinity is trending on Twitter. Hashtag maybe Chris Rock. And then people are saying maybe he won't make fun of people anymore, or maybe he didn't know. For the most part, it's very, this was out of line, Will Smith type thing. But Will Smith then did get to pose with his Oscar after this. He then did, in fact, I have a video here. He then did get to go to an after party and, you know, rap getting jiggy with it while everyone was partying with him. Like, this is okay, right? You hit somebody, we're okay with that.
Right.
So
I don't know. Something just smells weird about it.
I can't say I wouldn't do the same though. Like, you know, just like thinking about like the like years ago when my daughter put a like a little video on YouTube and somebody made fun of her hair because she had a like a side shave and she was self-conscious about it anyway. And my initial reaction was like, I want to find that person and slap them.
Yeah.
But that is assault. So let me tell you a silly little story.
Like it's also verbal. It is like a verbal assault of like, when you look at her face, it's not as though like just because the assault is physical, it has more lasting damage. What he said when you look at her reaction probably had far more lasting damage than a slap by Will Smith.
But she also is an actress who also presents herself in a public forum. She is a public figure, and you know, the rules of engagement are different for a public figure. And you know,
but are you saying that what he said was okay?
I'm not. No, I'm not saying that. But there's a lot of things that are said that are not okay.
And maybe, you know, right? Ricky Gervais would get up there and
would he have slapped Ricky Gervais for this?
Good question. And I don't know. Maybe Ricky
or did
Gervais
he feel empowered because
I don't want to say Ricky Gervais is maybe a smarter comedian, but Ricky Gervais, I think the things that Ricky Gervais made fun of was really like the woke lecturing of Hollywood. That's the thing that Ricky Gervais mocked during the Golden Globes, you know, and the things that he did. It wasn't really about people's appearances, unless I'm wrong. Maybe I am wrong, but it wasn't like to me, maybe that was like the lowest common denominator to.
But again, there were plenty of jokes about appearances in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And he also was a comedian, and you're sitting in the front row knowing that, you know, again, you put yourself in a situation. I'm not saying that it's okay, but I'm saying that the person who actually hit somebody, that also is not okay. That should be an easy line, right? So for instance, when I was in the 8th grade, I was on a payphone calling my mom, asking if my friend could could sleep over. And this guy came up and he was big and he was like, get off the phone. I want to make a phone call. And this was when we didn't have cell phones. And he was like, get off the effing phone. And he was screaming at my friend who was at the time calling her mom. And I had a little baggie of Wheat Thins. And I was like, don't say F at her. And I threw the Wheat Thins at it. And he slapped me straight across the face. Like full on hit me, right? And I was so upset about it. And I was like, don't tell my parents. They're going to be really upset. My dad somehow got wind of it and called the guy's mom. And it's like, if he doesn't come over here and apologize, we will press charges because that is assault. So getting slapped across the face is absolutely assault. You can press charges against this because, so is this any different?
Well, it is different because it's on national television at an Oscar ceremony among two celebrities. So yes, it's totally different than.
But
what,
it's example setting.
I know exactly. I'm not defending it at all. I'm watching this curiously and watching how this unfolds in this sort of, this sort of moment. Rock though declined to file a police report this morning.
Yes.
So he's not filing a police report for assault. Can you imagine that? Like Will Smith could have been locked up as a result. Like if he pressed charges.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I think that it's interesting for the Oscars, who is so virtue signaling now, right? To say we have a moment of silence because of violence in Ukraine, but we will allow violence to continue on the air. Here's another thing that annoys me is that he does not have to speak for her. He didn't have to do this. She is a strong woman. She has a strong voice. A voice that I respect and appreciate. And she could have used her medium to say, I didn't appreciate that joke. It hurt my feelings. And we all could have said, yeah, okay. We don't like, if these things hurt your feelings, he shouldn't have said it. But at this point, that conversation is gone. He took the reaction from her, like, oh, let me speak on, like, women don't need that. And she especially doesn't need that.
But be honest, wouldn't you have appreciated that?
No.
So I saw a lot of people like, well, yeah, that's a man defending her woman.
No,
this woman.
What year is this? No, that's a different thing.
All right, I'm just saying. I see a lot of the people saying that.
You can defend somebody with words in a way that's very different than, like we've talked about many times how, you used to, when I would nurse in public and you would sort of walk the perimeter like a lion, like no one's gonna say anything about my baby eating in public,
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have wanted you to hit somebody who would have said something about me nursing in public. I would have wanted you to say, my baby's eating. Like, this is my baby who needs, like, she has a right to nurse in public with words. Fine.
When my daughter was still an infant, we were having we all went to Indiana. And my ex-wife was nursing, and we were in an IHOP or something like that, or like a Bob Evans or whatever. And there was a guy that was like clearly upset that she was breastfeeding in public. And that guy, my back was to that guy, but David was looking at the guy's reaction, and David actually stood up like at the table and just started yelling at the guy. He's like, "If you're so bothered," he was just like, he just went off, and I was like, "Hell yeah."
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Say words.
Yeah, say words about my child breastfeeding, with my wife in public. Like that would I flipped out about. But yeah, I wouldn't have hit somebody.
Okay,
so,
good.
Anyway, again, just like a broader conversation though about these award ceremonies, and like that was like the moment though. It's like, come on. To me, that might have been like that's the
jumping of the shark.
That was, if it hadn't already jumped the shark, that was it. To me, just put these award ceremonies out of their misery or move them over to streaming services so people can watch them or something. I don't know. To me, this is like the death knell for these things. And, you got to think like Apple too. Like Apple's like, okay, we're putting all this money behind these projects. We really want Apple TV to be this huge success. We're really pushing for Coda to win the best picture, the best actor, the whole 9 yards. And then Will Smith wins for Coda and it's totally soured.
He didn't win for Coda.
Didn't he? I thought he won.
He's not in that movie, so you see how much.
Sorry. I thought he won for...
He won for playing the father of the Williams sisters.
Oh, Coda won Best Picture. I'm sorry. I for some reason, I thought he was in that. Yeah.
We're not hip on our movies.
That just goes to show you, I haven't seen any of this year's Best Picture movies. Have you? I don't think we saw any of them.
I started Coda.
Was Finch... The Tom Hanks movie, was that nominated?
I don't know. Let's not go on because we're going to show that we're...
We haven't seen
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know. We haven't
to me,
seen.
the Oscars makes as much sense as the Super Bowl, and I don't watch either. Like it's basically the same thing. It's just super fans of one thing, like all like cheering on their favorites, and I've never understood the whole thing, so I just don't
Well,
get it.
I like the idea of like in the moment competition. That's why I want to watch tennis, right? Like you've trained for this, you show up, let's see it, right? But the Oscars is not that. That's like you put your heart and soul into a project and then you put on a pretty dress and see if other people liked it. Like that's a whole different thing. Do you like any competition? The
Not really. I
Olympics?
mean, I don't watch the Olympics. I mean,
But you
I'm
play
not a big.
pool. You play
I do
pool
play
for
pool.
competition.
Yes, I do. But if you ever see me play pool and how I interact with my opponents, I don't care. I don't care if I win or lose. I'm more interested in my own shooting. But
Yeah.
I'm
Would you
more of a
watch it on TV?
no. I mean,
No.
I'll sometimes watch like the like old like competitions and stuff like that just to watch certain people and how they shoot, but it's more of a learning thing than I don't fanboy. I couldn't name a pool player.
Mm,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's not my thing. I'm actually not a huge competition fan because I feel like, like in school they say like, well doing high school sports teaches you like this. I see it more as like teaching xenophobia. I'm more apt like if you want to teach people something, like have them build an aqueduct together so that people have to work together as opposed
That would
to.
make for amazing TV.
Yes, I imagine
This
that's
is
why
the
I'm not a
new
TV
thing.
producer.
That's amazing. I guess I get inspired by people who have trained for something, and then I want to see them like do it. That's why I like Top Chef.
Yeah,
Like
and
you've
I can
trained for
appreciate.
this,
Yep, I
and
can
then let's
appreciate
see what you
that.
got.
I can appreciate like people being at the top of their game and stuff like that. Like I do appreciate that and I will watch it.
Yeah.
It's the fandom around it that I just don't like, just doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. Like I used to have this tradition where I would go to spring training with my father, and then afterwards I'd say, "Do you want to stick around and get autographs?" He goes, "No, we're here to watch baseball, not worship humans." And then we just leave.
That's why I like to like, so one of my like, I don't know, hobbies or second lives or whatever is I'm involved with a play group in Portland. And so like I'll sometimes direct plays and it's like I like that because it's everybody coming together putting on the
That's
same
fun.
show. And so
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
there's no real competition.
If you like this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, we have a membership program. For the price of a cup of coffee once a month, you can support independent journalism just by going to morninginvest.com/join.
You get access to exclusive videos, plus the ability to join and chat with us live. We really appreciate your subscription, and you are supporting independent journalism.